Okay, I wasn't going to do a video because it's really not that far. I mean, we're far considering. Um, Pieces had to be uh, basically laser cut out or CNC. I don't know the name for it. Jim could tell you that, but he's not here right now. This is a client, a customer of ours in the greater Los Angeles area. It shipped us his Jeep. This is a 71, but basically same thing. And we are doing a major, not really an overhaul restoration. The Jeep is fairly clean. It's California Jeep. But he wanted it more drivable, and which is to be desired on these years. They are extremely difficult. Like, if there's a level of difficulty in the Jeep world for doing a conversion, this is a 10 out of 10. When it comes to putting things like power brakes, as you see there's a big booster, that's not factory. Power steering, this has got the Dauntless Buick, which is actually not super hard to do, but it is hard to find all the pieces. And then there is definitely some modification has to be done down on the frame that we have yet to even do. And part of that is because the drivetrain is getting a complete overhaul. It's getting a new rebuilt transmission on automatic to add insult to injury. And people who don't, if you know these CJs, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then you'll think, well, that's probably just, some dumb shop working on it. But I assure you, not that we're not some dumb shop, but no, we have a pretty good rapport. But our work will speak for it at the end of the day. This is kind of a roughly done as of right now. It'll be cleaned up more, obviously. But anyway, the major issue with this Jeep is in these years, pre-71s, 71 and older, they have a slightly shorter snout on them, or the clip as some people call it. In the later 76, actually 72 on up, they elongated the CJ5 just so slightly in the front, and it's a few inches. That gives it enough room to do more of those. They're still hard to do, 72, 75, but easier. And then the 76, they tackled about all those issues. So there's really not an easy way to go about it. I mean, you can do a frame swap into a later year. That's hard to do. And you have to put a longer snout on it. So it does change the overall look. Although I would have almost done that if doing it over. And we didn't really even discuss that with the customer in this case because we wanted to keep it somewhat, But the issue is going to be the driveline. And anybody out there who's done one will tell you that. Especially shoving a automatic. There's only one automatic, and if there's somebody out there that comments that says there's another, I would love to. By no means am I telling you no. I've done research, my guys have done research, and I called, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I called everybody in the phone book when we first started this, figuring out, and this actually automatic kind of got thrown into it at the very last minute. We were originally going to go with either a T176 and swap some axles out, or T18, which was going kind of backwards for what he wanted, the customer wanted, as far as being able to use it more But anyway, I'm not going to get into all that. The dash is rough. It's a rough. Okay, don't think this is the final. Actually, that dash is fairly clean compared to what he had in there. What was in this thing, and that's the other one we're possibly using. But everything's got to be drilled out. That is the one I think Jim is going to use, but I think he was trying to do some fitment things with this. So we have that one up in there for now, which is actually error correct. And then there's the steering column there, which is an automatic on the column, like we wanted. The customer did not want, and I don't blame them, honestly, because they looked so tacky, a traditional, floor shift automatic. And a lot of that has to do with the way my hands are full. My water line broke. We got back from vacation to a water line busted under the house that had been running the whole time. So anyway, so we had to make, and I want to show you this. It's going to be hard to see without lighting, but this bracket, hopefully we will be maybe be producing this bracket as a complete conversion down the road. The R&D, it's not even and this was an expensive project. By no means am I discounting the customer's involvement with that, because he's been amazing and gracious with not only money as well as his time. And we've had this for several months, since October. But any project that you can do at this scale in less than a year, I think any shop out there, especially because we're a full-blown yard still, would tell you it's remarkable. And if you're only doing one at a time, by all means, you can get it done sooner. So we got some stuff to clean up on the frame still down there, so don't look at it, but well, just look at it. No, I'm just teasing that guy on YouTube. Anyway, so I'm excited. I was excited to see some more progress when I came back. But if this works out well, we will hopefully be offering essentially the same blueprint and the parts that we've had cut out CNC. The pedals are all custom. This will be a one-off. They won't. We don't do any. One thing I always point out, because people want us to. We have another Jeep coming in from Chicago that we're doing a tub swap on. We will do that, and just like we'll do this, but we do not get into body work. We do not cut out panels. We don't replace panels. I am not a body shop. I never will be a body shop. We are not painters. I'm sure some of my guys can paint, but we don't have we really don't have the tooling. We don't have the shop. We don't have the space, really. We have the yard space, but definitely not indoor space. So, all right. Yeah, so a couple of things customer wanted: automatic transmission. So we got a rebuilt transmission. It's called and you probably already know it if you know these. It's a BOP Turbo 350. That stands for Buick Oldsmobile Pontiac. These are some things I learned along the way. I knew a Turbo 350, but I didn't have any idea there was a special one for the Buick, the Dauntless Buick that came out of this. Now, that was not originally part of the plan. The original part of the plan was power brakes, power steering, transmission replacement, and a couple other odds and ends. Customer asked, can we, give it a bill of health? And it ran. It actually ran okay. Fire up, maybe a little bit rough on idle, but that again could have been just the fact that it came up to our elevation, which is a mile high. He's at sea level. Anyway, we did and our elevation does do stuff to compression numbers. We get a little lower numbers than a lot of people can get at sea level. But all in all, there was at least one, if I remember right, maybe even 2 cylinders that we usually try to go like plus or minus 10, maybe 15 on something older. When somebody's asking us, that doesn't mean you can't get something to run, 40 lower on one. It will run. It may not run great, but in this case, so it needed a complete overhaul on the engine. We went at that with several different ways initially, and it ended up being a couple things. One was, how can I say this without offending the builders out there? The quality control. There's only a handful of people building Buicks right now, and some are better than others. Some are awesome. By the time you get some of the cores, and by all means, I'm not asking you to take your motors and rebuild them. Please send them to the people out there that do it already. We do not do it at a mass scale. We can do it on a one-off basis. You'll have it done maybe a little sooner, well, definitely a little sooner, and you'll have Jerry. Now, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to keep Jerry. I've had him for 2 years. I keep throwing him in projects that are in his scope, but really, and he loves doing, but then we throw other things at him that he doesn't. So it's like a employee burnout ratio with mechanics. I hope that Jerry retires with us. We offer benefits, things that we've never offered to keep him around, because we've always had turnover rate, in that, and it's kind of high in the industry. So anyway, I'm just kind of giving you the background of how important it is to have good people in our organization. Yeah, we pay out the butt for it, but I don't regret it at all. And honestly, when you pay those paychecks, my first shop. I've been doing this for 18 years. Let me tell you, when you have good people around you, it is easy. Even on those slow months, it is easy to make those paychecks. It is extremely difficult, even in some of the best months, when you don't have good people around you to make those paychecks, and knowing what they're putting out, productivity, and just overall attitude. So Jerry is an amazing person. Cannot give him enough credit. We also have Kevin. Kevin is a behind the scenes operator, and he is another staple to our organization, especially when it comes to, oh, Jerry's calling me right now. So I am gonna run, but hope you like the progress, and 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. Guys, I'm heading to Vernal today, Denver tomorrow. It's a busy time of year. I appreciate your patience, buddy, we are obviously chugging right along, and to be quite honest with you, once we get that tranny back, which the transmission is actually, Brad called today and said he was a day out on it, but we are still waiting on that adapter from Advanced Adapters. So I know they set a back order till the end of the month. I'm gonna call them first part of next week and see if they have any movement on that guy. And if we can get that in, this is gonna go pretty freaking quick, because Jim, unfortunately, is dragging his feet, and Jim is another great guy of ours. And he's not doing that out of disrespect. He's doing it out of not wanting to go down a rabbit hole of making a mistake and then not being able to come back from it. And unfortunately, this drive line is going to be an important part of where steering is mounted, column is mounted, especially going to this automatic. So we were kind of, every day comes in, does a little bit here and there. This was actually not even in it this morning. So this dash, so it's good to see that done. I know he's got the booster set up in there. I know he's gonna do some work on the frame and reinforcing some of these areas that weren't done they were probably done well enough, but you can see the welds. I don't even know if I can zoom in here. I don't want to piss Jerry off. I need to get a hold, but this was all done prior to us getting a hold of it. And he is in the realm of welders that I've met out there, he's probably one of the best I've ever had. So I don't know with time frame if we'll be able to get into that stuff as much as we were kind of hoping to do, but we'll see. And then yeah, I think that's about it. So we still got a job to do with the tank, so hopefully I can, if he is, I don't think he's stalled right now on anything, but if he is, I'll move him to that. And just so you're familiar with those years, in these years they did have tanks underneath the driver's seat. It's a very common swap to have it moved to the back underneath. Back here, there's some work you have to do, and they already, before we got it, had cut the hole, and we're hoping that hole is gonna line up. Otherwise, customer's gonna have to do some body work when it comes back, but we'll see. So yeah, overall, I think we're moving in the right direction. That's for dang sure. So, all right, cool. Well, wish I could tell you more. That's about it. We have one more big project like this that we're working on for another customer in Washington. And that one's a little bit, maybe even more unique in some ways, because it's a chassis we're sending out to him, and then he's gonna be putting a tub on it. We're also doing a Buick for him on that. Made it to a T18. That one's gonna be built more for crawling and wheeling, and this one is definitely more for cruising and just enjoying. So, all right. Well, thanks, and hope you enjoyed this little video. Don't get to do these very often. And yeah,